I've just picked up the EGO 56 volt multi-tool kit, and in this video I'm going to be taking a closer look at the 51 centimeter hedge trimmer attachment. So let's take a look at what comes in the box. So in here we've got our power head attachment, the line trimmer attachment, the hedge trimmer attachment, and the pole saw attachment. We've also got a 5 amp hour battery, a charger. We've also got some string for the line trimmer, an instruction booklet, and a shoulder strap. All right, so taking a look at the power head. So at the very far end, we've got the slot where the battery goes in and the brushless motor that powers the power head. Then moving along, we've got the first hand grip, which has got the trigger mechanism, and straight away, I'm not a massive fan of that. The safety release is this little plastic switch that you've got to push back. And normally with a line trimmer, I'd use a single finger on the trigger, but this is kind of leading you towards needing to use two to be able to engage that or to push it and then pull the trigger. And I think every time you release the trigger, it's going to be slightly annoying. Maybe just something to get used to, but I definitely prefer the trigger style where the safety release is on top of the handle. So when you grip it, it's automatically engaged. On the top, there's a digital speed controller as well. So that's just two limit settings. So a low and a high power. Then moving down the unit, we've got a carbon fiber shaft with a hook there for the shoulder strap and the spot for the handle to go. Then moving down to the very end of the power head is an aluminium fitting with a button and a mechanism to tighten it. And that's where all of the attachments fit into. In the box, there was also the secondary handle, which is a toolless install. It's also got this secondary handle, which I guess gives you a bit more flexibility if you're edging or using it in certain positions. It's a bit of adjustability there. You can set it to where you want it. Does feel like it's got a bit of movement though, even though it's been tightened all the way up. So with the power head, we've also got this battery charger, which is a massive unit. It's got a few indicators on the front there for the state of charge, which is nice. And then the 5 amp hour 56 volt battery, which is fairly weighty. The end of the battery has got a power button, which gives the battery status in 20% increments. So out of the box, it's come at 40%. And then the battery just clicks into the power head like that nicely. With the battery in, we can use the speed button to cycle through those two power level settings. And now let's connect up the hedge trimmer attachment. So this is the 510 millimeter hedge trimmer attachment. We've got a 910 millimeter aluminium pole. We've got a plastic sheath over that. And we've got a 510 millimeter or 51 centimeter hedge trimmer. So these have got 12 different positions that you can lock it into, starting at about that, which is about a 45-degree angle. And then it clicks into each different spot down to that, which is about 90 degrees. So you've got about 135 degrees of different positions that you can set it in. This will apparently cut a 26 millimeter branch, which is about an inch or just over. Also got this 76 millimeter aluminium extension pole, and this can be used to extend the length of that hedge trimmer. Now you can buy these individually, so not 100% sure, but I assume you can buy multiple of these if you need additional reach, although imagine after you've added one or two, it's probably going to get a little bit awkward to handle. Now to connect this to the power head, plastic cap comes off there and it just slides into here, up to the red line, and you'll see it click into place and then it can be tightened up. Now with that straight, I'm going to measure from roughly the handle to the end of that hedge trimmer to see what sort of length you're getting. So that's about just short of 2.1 meters. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how far you can reach with the tip of the hedge trimmer, just with the hedge trimmer attachment. Now we can disconnect this by undoing that. pushing that button down and releasing that. And we can then put the extension piece in, same way. Now it slides into there like that. And that actually wasn't very satisfying. It was sort of very fiddly to get it in there, which isn't very good. It's all loose. You sort of got to wiggle it to get it to go in. That clips into there like that. And then we can add the hedge trimmer attachment into there. And that locks into place like that. Yeah, that's getting definitely a little bit on the heavy side. Give you an idea of that total length now. So with that extension in there, about 2.8 meters. Then to disconnect it, just untighten it and push the button. Untighten this on the extension bar, push the button. So that is the hedge trimmer attachment, and I reckon we go and test this out and I'll give you my thoughts. So I've got this overgrown section of hedge here, which I'm going to tackle with the hedge trimmer attachment, see how we go. So I've had a couple of months now to put the hedge trimmer attachment to the test and ready to give my verdict. I think the quality of this tool is really good. It cuts well and it does its intended job really well. I need a pole hedger for some of my taller hedges and this really fit the bill. Now I had actually been hoping I could replace my smaller handheld Ryobi hedger with this and just do everything with this, but I very quickly realized that that wasn't going to be the case. This is kind of awkward and heavy to use, especially up close. So while it's perfect for doing those taller, higher hedges up close, you're not going to be able to do everything with it, or it's not really ideal and it's not made for that. It cuts really well. I found it cut branches up to a finger width really easily. It's got a good reach and a good range of adjustments on the head for doing the top of the hedges that are up high. Battery life is also really good, and it's super easy and quick to change out a new battery, and the 5 amp battery that came with it charges really quickly, about 35 minutes in total. I mentioned the trigger when I was unboxing this, and I had some concerns about how comfortable that would be to use, but as soon as I started using it, it felt natural, and yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. In terms of some downsides, the biggest one for me is the extension pole that came with it. I find it a real pain to connect up. For some reason, it doesn't connect in as easily as all the other attachments to the power head. So you've got to jiggle it, wiggle it. Sometimes you got to pull the trigger a bit to make the motor spin so it'll line up. It's a real pain, and I'm not a massive fan of that. And the other one is the foam handle on the power head. I think it's just been a bit of a poor design. It's already starting to show signs of wear and tear, and I just don't think it's going to stand the test of time. Overall though, I'm very happy with the Hedger. It's an excellent tool, good quality. It does its intended job really well, but it's not something that you're going to replace your regular hedge trimmer with.